Bailey Zappe, we've seen him struggle significantly with the progressions in Bill O'Brien's offense. We see him hold on to the ball. It seems like his confidence has been shaken because the accuracy has been pretty inconsistent, especially once the pads came on. When you talk about the Shanahan system, it's relatively easy for quarterbacks because it doesn't ask them to do a whole lot. Like you look at Jimmy Garoppolo, an astounding number of his throws, especially downfield crossing routes. Like the Shanahan system's notorious for quarterbacks not really having to make those downfield throws to the sidelines. It's a very quarterback-friendly system. We saw last year with Bailey Zappe in that type of system where it was kind of like, all right, turn your brain off, don't make a mistake, and make the throws out of there. He was fine. He looked good, so much so that people thought that Mac Jones might have been a problem and wasn't really someone who should have been in that leadership role as a starting quarterback. Now we're seeing Bill O'Brien where he really gives his quarterbacks the keys of the kingdom and says, okay, you can make the adjustments. You need to be able to read what the defense is doing. I will put you in position to succeed. You need to be able to do all the work post-snap and make the right decisions, and that's not really where Bailey Zappe thrives. So relative to the quarterback position, I think you were spot on where I think after what we've seen in the preseason, there's not a huge risk of Bailey Zappe maybe getting poached because he didn't put a lot of good tape out in the past few games.
New FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube at YouTube TV.
Yeah, I still don't love it. I get where and to people freaking out about this, they did this before. They did this in 2021 with Brian Hoyer. Now, it's a little different. Hoyer didn't have to go through waivers, but I think Ian Rappaport reported earlier that he thinks Zappe's going to get claimed. For that reason, I don't love it. I still think for all his warts this summer, here's the problem with the Bailey Zappe discourse in New England. You either had to believe he was actually the starter and better than Mac Jones, or you had to believe he sucked and didn't belong in the league. And in the reality, he's in the middle. He's a good backup quarterback. I've said from the beginning, I think he's somewhere between the 30th and 35th best quarterback in the NFL. So very low-end starter, high-end backup. I think Mac is probably in the 12 to 20 range right now, for reference.
That's pretty fair. Yep.
So and I think Zappe gets claimed. They had a good backup. They had him on a rookie contract. I don't think they needed to do this. Who did they get on the roster to do this? Shaun Wade, you probably could have gotten Shaun Wade through waivers. I feel like you get Shaun Wade through waivers before you get Bailey Zappe through waivers. Who are some of the other guys that might get there that made the team? I'm blanking off the top of my head. I'll have to pull it up.
Going through really quick. I don't think Sam Roberts.
Sam Roberts is a guy I think you could have gotten through waivers. Amir Speed's a guy I think you could have gotten through waivers. Absolutely. That's probably the list. Because the other thing you got to remember here is you just burned Bailey Zappe's rookie contract. He's now pending free agent if he comes back. So I don't, as rough of a summer as Bailey Zappe had, I don't love the idea that they essentially just threw away backup quarterback security for the next 3 years.
I get that, but I also do think that considering what we saw from Bailey Zappe, if something happened to Mac, I think they would have been better off. And I don't know what the veteran market is like from their perspective and who they're trying to bring in. But considering what Bill O'Brien asks of his quarterbacks, I do think that a veteran would probably be better in that backup role than someone like a Bailey Zappe. And we even heard that they're trying to get Trace McSorley back in some capacity. I don't personally love that. I don't think in terms of throwing ability and, consistency, he's an NFL quarterback. But, with the Zappe thing, I understand to a degree, especially because, and we'll talk about this as well, there were so many positions where they had to really stock guys up. Like you talk about offensive line, they have 11 offensive linemen. No one had that in their projection because 11 is a crazy number to have. But because of all their injuries, it kind of screwed them. And then you look at cornerback as well. Now, it's a little different because I think Amir Speed's more of a specialist, but he still can play cornerback. He's more like a Brandon Bolden where you're going to see mostly on special teams. But if something happens, he can't play cornerback. So there were certain positions where they had more bodies than I think people expected. And I guess they looked at it and were like, hey, we got to keep people in other positions. This is something we're willing to risk.